Okay, perfect. Um, Thanks for joining us all today. We're gonna get started here. Um, Before we do so, I'm just gonna cover a few housekeeping items here. So if you have any questions throughout, please feel free to post it in the Q&A box at the bottom of your Zoom screen. There'll be a couple of us over here that we can answer your questions. And if you have a question, it's likely that other people will have a similar question. So if you could make sure to just click off the all panelists and attendees box, this will make sure that your question is seen by everyone and as well as our answers. So we can make sure everything gets answered. All right, so thanks again for joining us, everyone. It's just past noon here in Toronto. I know that we have people from all over joining us. So again, thank you all so much. We're really excited to have you all here today. And we definitely understand how busy everyone is. So it means a lot that you've taken the time to join. And hopefully you'll learn something cool and useful for you. So here's just a quick agenda outlining the main topics that we're going to be going over today. So initially, we're going to start off with a quick intro of us here at BioRender, and then we'll get into the fun part, which I'm sure is what you all came for today, where we're really going to dive into the platform, show you some really cool features, and then again walk you through creating a figure from scratch. So we like to start these webinars off, just kind of getting to know you guys a little bit better. So as you can see here, I'm going to launch a poll. If you guys could just fill this out. Okay, so it just has a couple of questions here about what your field of research or what you're studying right now. And then as well as what your experience is here with BioRender. So I'm gonna leave that for a couple of minutes. And while we're getting to know you guys, I'm just gonna quickly introduce ourselves on our end here at BioRender. So my name is Jacqueline. I am an account executive here at BioRender. I'm gonna be kind of walking you through the initial portion of today's webinar, so sort of that background. And then once we get to the demo, my colleague Phil is going to take over. Phil, do you want to quickly introduce yourself?
For sure. Yeah. Thanks, Jacqueline. As Jacqueline mentioned, my name is Phil. I'm on the business development and scientific communication team here at BioRender. So yeah, looking forward to showing you all how BioRender works. And yeah, feel free to ask any questions in the chat and we'll be sure to get to them as soon as possible.
Awesome. Thanks, Phil. So we are approaching, it seems like we've got almost everyone who's voted in the poll here. So I'm going to end this here and then just share the results. Well, that's pretty cool. We have some molecular and cell biologists here. We've got a wide range of different types of scientists. So this is awesome. And then in terms of everyone's experience with BioRender, we've got both a little bit of experience and then still people who have signed up, but we'll hopefully get you guys more comfortable and rolling today. Okay. So now we're gonna jump into us here at BioRender just to give you a little bit of a background of who we are and what we do and really how we came to be here. So prior to being the BioRender that we are today, we were actually a custom medical illustration studio called Anatomize Studios for close to 10 years. And we were actually the agency that was contracted by National Geographic for all their scientific illustrations. And we also worked quite extensively with scientists and with popular academic journals such as Science and Nature. Now, this work really allowed us to understand all of the nuances that go into these types of figures. So this includes things such as like shading and contrast and where text should be. But through this work, we also came to understand that most scientists and labs really don't have the budget or the resources or the connections to collaborate with professional medical illustration teams to really visually translate their science. So they'd end up using PowerPoint or something similar, spending hours making an illustration that looks something like this. Now, I'm guessing most of you, or almost probably everyone on this call, understands the pain and struggle of making a figure in PowerPoint, where you'll spend years doing your research, months writing up your manuscript, and then once it comes time to making these figures, this is really all the best that you can do in PowerPoint. And I know that this looks fairly elementary, but if you've ever made something like this, I'm sure you understand how actually painful and quite time consuming something like this can be. Or maybe you pull off some pieces from Google, you kind of layer your own shapes and squiggles over it, but it kind of gives this like mishmash of a look where it's not very cohesive and it looks like things are just kind of thrown together. And again, like we just said, it still takes quite a bit of time. And then lastly, here's just one other example, something that you would create in PowerPoint. But we really can't blame you for doing it this way. We've all been there because really, unfortunately, up until now, there hasn't been an easy way for scientists to illustrate their research. Therefore, PowerPoint has really become that like standard go-to software in order to do so. So we actually estimate that scientists collectively waste over 1 billion hours per year making scientific figures in a software that really isn't designed to do so. And now that's obviously a huge problem, and we knew there had to be a better way. And so we created BioRender. So BioRender makes it easy for all scientists, regardless of your artistic ability, to create professional, beautiful, repeatable graphics in literally just a couple of minutes. We have a library of over 40,000 scientifically accurate icons that you can browse through. You'll kind of get a little bit of a sneak peek on this figure here on your left-hand side, but you can browse through, drag and drop them on your screen, and you can make beautiful figures that look just like this in literally just a couple of minutes. And now beyond those time savings of making your figures in BioRender, it really helps to create more of like a standard and consistent visual language of research that's being done at any particular institute. So therefore, it doesn't matter who made it. A neutrophil or a neuron is going to look the same in all of your communications. Oh, and then here's just another example. Here we have an intracellular mechanism, which again was made very quickly and easily in BioRender. And again, here's just one last example of the types of images that you can create. And to our surprise, one of the most popular use cases of BioRender is illustrating protocols like this, just because they are very typically super complex and hard to understand when you're looking at a large paragraph of text. So having this visual image has really proven to make it much easier to communicate your research. So now beyond the 3 major use cases, including presentations, publications, and posters that I'm sure many of you all are looking to use BioRender for, we actually see people using it for a whole bunch of other different ways that people may not use graphics for at the moment, just because there really hasn't been an easy way to do so. You'll see some different use cases on the right-hand side of the screen, but something we've seen a lot of while everyone has been working from home is people including visuals in their lab and team meetings, just to make sure everyone stays up to date and their communication is strong while we're all working virtually. And then kind of the same thing, email updates, we've been seeing quite a bit of these as well. Again, just to make sure that we're able to stay communicated with one another while we're all working from home. So really anywhere that you can use graphics to help explain a scientific concept, you can essentially use BioRender to make it much more simple and clearer. All right, so one final story before we get into the demo here. And this is just really drives home what an impact effective graphics can have on your work. And it's stories like this that really make us happiest here at BioRender. So it comes from a researcher at the University of Toronto who submitted a manuscript to the Journal of Immunity one month. And she submitted it with this figure that you'll see on the left-hand side that she created in PowerPoint. And in her words, it took about 10 hours to create this image. So once she submitted it, the editor actually came back and said, we'll accept the manuscript. It's really great science, but we can't publish it with this figure. They said that it was too complex. It really wasn't clear. And they needed to resubmit it with a better figure, and then they would publish it at that point. Now, this was about 2 weeks before the deadline for that issue. So I don't know about you guys, but I don't think many people have an extra 10 hours to be able to create something new, nor did she necessarily have the artistic ability to create anything better than this figure on the left-hand side in PowerPoint. So thankfully, one of her grad students knew about BioRender, and she created this figure you'll see in the middle here, which in her words took about 10 minutes. They resubmitted that very same week, and not only did they get accepted, but they were actually given the cover for that issue. So that's what you'll see on the right-hand side here. So, just a really great story, an amazing turnaround from being outright rejected to being given the highest honor for that month. And like I said, these are the stories that we love to hear at BioRender, and we're really excited to hopefully hear similar stories from you guys soon. So now I'm going to pass things off to Phil, and he's going to get going on the demo.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Jacqueline. I'm going to share my screen here. So let me know if you can see it there.
Perfect. We can see it, Phil.
Awesome. Great. Yeah, thanks again, everybody, for joining. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come learn more about BioRender. We know how busy all of you are, so yeah, once again, we really appreciate it. And thanks again, Jacqueline, for that introduction. So for those of you that haven't heard of BioRender, I saw in the poll that not too many of you have tried it yet. Essentially, we are an online software tool that helps scientists make professional science figures in minutes. So as you can see here, all you have to do is go to biorender.com and you can easily get started. So there's nothing to download. Everything is web-based and in the cloud, and it is subscription-based. So with BioRender, you could sign up for free, and with the free account, you're able to make up to 5 illustrations, but you're not able to publish with that account. It's more to kind of just try it out. So I do encourage you all to try it and see how you like BioRender. Having said that, it is probably a good idea to check in with your institution to see if they do have an institutional license, just because we do have a number of institutions now on institutional licenses, so it's always good to check in to see if they're already paying for that. Yeah, so why don't we go ahead and kind of dive into the platform now. I know you're all excited to get started and see what BioRender is all about. So essentially, once you do have an account, all you have to do is click sign in here once you go to biorender.com. I have an account, so it's going to sign me right in, but typically it's just with your email and password. So we're going to click sign in here. And once again, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to refer to the Q&A and the chat, and Jacqueline and Francesca will be sure to get to them as soon as possible. Perfect. So as you can see, I've signed in here. This is our gallery view. So this is almost like your home base, I like to call it. So here at the bottom, you have your illustrations that you've created. So they do save automatically, and you can always go back and kind of just take a look at them, and also go back to the version history in case your computer crashed or you wanted to go back to a certain point of that figure. You can always get back there. That being said, you can always get started with a blank illustration or with a template. So we do have over 1,000 templates now that you could get started with, but we'll definitely dive into that during the demo. But just to start, let's start with a blank illustration just to show everybody how it works from scratch. So all you'd have to do is, as you can see, blank illustration, this blue box here on the top left, you'd click on it from your gallery view, and it would take you to this page. So from here, all you have to do is name your illustration. So let's call this BioRender 101 Figure 1. And from there, you can choose your illustration size. So we do see people using BioRender for journals, posters, slides, or even you could make it a custom size. You could always change the size while you're working on your figure, because we do know things change. But for this one, let's just start with the slide size and go from there. So from here, you're ready to go. You've named your illustration, you've chosen the size, and you're ready to get rolling. So all you have to do is go to click Create Illustration. And this takes you to your canvas view. So as you can see here, this is your blank canvas. This is where you actually create your figure / illustration. And I'll briefly walk through all of the features, and then we'll get started with a few figures. We'll see how easy it is to create a figure. So we'll start with the right-hand side here. As you can see, there's a few controls here. We'll start with the zoom. So you can zoom in as much as you'd like or zoom out. And everything is vector-based, so you won't lose resolution if you do change the size of your pictures and icons in there. But yeah, this gives you the ability to zoom in and zoom out. I think that's probably good for this one. You can add the ruler to kind of gauge sizing. And we get this one a lot. You could also add grid lines too, which is pretty cool. So moving along, we do have a chat function where you can refer to our chat. We do have a wonderful customer experience team that is happy to kind of answer all of your questions. So they are available from 9 to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you do have a question though, outside of those hours, feel free to reach out and we'll be sure to get to them as soon as possible. It's also good to check our FAQs because if you have a question, odds are someone else has had the question before and it's probably in our FAQs, but yeah, that's why we have the chat feature in case it isn't. We also have this, which includes our keyboard shortcuts just to make it even quicker to create a figure, as you can see there. So moving along, on the top here, you can see all of our contextual controls. So from here, you're able to change the canvas color. So maybe you want to change it to red or blue or whatever it may be, you can change it right there. As mentioned, you could change the canvas size right from your canvas view if you'd like to change that. You can obviously insert text as well, as you can see. And you can kind of place it anywhere you'd like. It's really simple to use. I'll show you all how to use that. You could also insert any shapes that you'd like. Maybe you want to kind of make a custom cell or just add in a circle or a square or anything like that. You can definitely do that. Or you can make your own shapes too. So we also have quite a robust library of arrows. We know how important arrows are and lines. So we'll definitely get into those today. But yeah, these arrows really allow you to communicate your research better and kind of show a better story. So as you can see, lots of different lines and arrows and different tools to use to improve your figure. And obviously you can undo something or redo it if there's a change you need to make. Then moving along to the left-hand side here. So this is actually my favorite part. This is where you would find all of your icons. So as of now, I believe we have over 45,000 icons to choose from. So all of our icons have been created by our professionally trained medical illustration team. So you can either search for icons here in the search bar or go to the different categories and search like that. I personally like searching just because it is usually faster, but both methods work. So you can also pop in a template right from here too, which is pretty cool. So you don't have to get started with a template, but you can always pop one in if you're working on something and you just want to use one of our templates to make it easier. We have a brushes feature, which we'll definitely get into, which allows you to kind of almost grow the different icons that we have in real time. We also have the favorites feature, which allows you to store some of your favorite icons here that you use all the time, so you don't have to go ahead and search for them. We have an uploads feature, which allows you to upload images from your computer or just to easily pop that in. As you can see, I've popped in the BioRender logo, and it's quite easy. You could even change the opacity. There you go. I know we see a lot of people doing that with their institutions, which is pretty cool, I find. If you do work with a lot of proteins, we do plug directly into the protein data bank, which is right here. And if you do know your PDB ID, I don't have one offhand, but all you'd have to do is enter it here, load protein. It would pop into something like this, and you could drag it over, similar to the BioRender icons, and you're off to the races. So I'm looking now, I don't see any questions, so I'll just kind of keep moving forward. So we're gonna go ahead and create our first figure. So from here, as you can see, I don't have an artistic background, but BioRender makes it pretty easy to create a figure and it look pretty professional. So you'd go here, as mentioned before, I do love the search feature, so I don't know what kind of model organisms you use, but I like to use the mouse. So let's say mouse with tumor. And as you can see here, there's a number of icons here. So something I should mention is if you ever see an icon in the BioRender icon library with a little purple box like this, what that means is it's actually a grouped icon. So what a grouped icon is you can actually modify and separate the different parts of the icon. So some of our icons are kind of singular icons where you can't edit the different parts, such as this one right here. But for this one, we're going to use this mouse with tumor grouped icon. All you have to do from here is click on it, drag it over, and there it is. It's on your canvas, and I think it's time to kind of start editing. So I'm going to go ahead and make this a little bigger, drag it over here, and I'm going to go ahead and ungroup it. As you can see, the contextual controls kind of grew, and now there's more here. So I'm going to go ahead and ungroup that. Go from here, click on this tumor. I don't need that one. I'm going to change the color of this mouse because I'm used to seeing a brown mouse. And I'm going to change the color of this as well. Maybe grow that a little bit just to kind of emphasize the tumor. And from here, I'm going to keep moving along and look for a syringe. So as you can see here, we have a number of different syringes to use. And when searching, if you do search for something and you don't spell it right, we'll catch that and we'll be sure to find that icon for you. For example, you can see there, I spelled syringe wrong there, but you could still see it. So from here, I'm going to use, obviously there's a lot of them. So just for this demo, just so we keep moving along, I'll just use this one. As mentioned, this is a grouped icon, as you can see, as mentioned before. So we're going to click on it, drag it over, and I'm going to rotate that syringe. I'm going to make it a bit smaller. And from there, we have our first step. We're going to keep moving along, though, just to show you how easy it is to create a figure and how quickly it is. I'm sure a number of you have used PowerPoint before. I know I have, and it does take quite some time to create these figures. So from here, all we would do is go to arrows, click on this arrow, drag it out, and we're ready for the next step. So you could either search for another mouse, or I like to use the keyboard shortcuts just because I'm pretty used to them and they're pretty easy. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this and paste it right there. I'm going to do the same with the tumor. And I'm going to show that this tumor has gotten smaller after treatment. So it looks like our mouse friend is doing better. Perfect. And from here, this is just a quick figure where maybe we want to add some text in. Maybe we want to name it right here. So we'll call it BioRender 101, figure 1. And we want to add some text here. Step 1. And you can make the text whatever you'd like, but just for the demo here today, we're going to just make it pretty simple. Step 2. You could also change the font. As you can see there, we have a quick figure, and it looks pretty great. So let's say we're done with this one. We could preview it just to see how it looks. Okay. You could export it. All you'd have to do is click here. You could also share it with your team through your BioRender team account or through email, as you could see, like so. So maybe we can pause for a second to help answer any questions. I'll check the chat. All right, I don't see any questions. Francesca, am I missing any questions there? Or I do see one here actually. Is there a way to align step 1 and step 2? Perfect. Yes, there is actually. So all you have to do here is click align, and you can align it as you'd like so. Can we save the figure at this point? Yes, you can save the figure at this point. So all of our figures are automatically saved. So all you'd have to do is go back to the gallery, and you'll see it generate there. And it's the same figure, so it does save automatically. I saw there, that's a good point. Step 1 is closer to the front part of step 2. Yep, and you can always pop it in there to make it aligned and look right. Not sure, am I missing any other questions? I see we have a question. Can BioRender be used to create posters for presentations at conferences? Yes, BioRender can be used to create posters for presentations at conferences. Francesca or Jacqueline, am I missing any other questions?
Nope, Phil, you got to them all. I was just getting to the poster one right now, so thanks for covering that.
Yeah, no problem. Great. Alrighty, so why don't we go ahead and create another figure. This time we're going to create a car-engrafted T cell and tumor cell. So the same thing, we're going to go blank illustration. We'll just call this one figure 2, just because you guys know about the naming now. And we'll click slide size once again. We'll go to create illustration. So as you can see here, we've gone through all the features already. We've gone through all the icons. So we're just going to go ahead and start creating this figure. So we're going to go ahead and search for T cell. Alrighty, we're going to use this grouped one right here. And from here, we're going to go ahead and make it bigger. I like to kind of rotate it like so. We're going to ungroup it just because I want to move this right here. Perfect. We're going to make that a little smaller. So from here, I'd actually like to make this a little bit bigger. Perfect. All right, I'm going to change the color of this to match our color here. I think that looks good. From here, we're going to go and search for a tumor cell. As you can see here, we have a number of different tumor cells. So this is small tumor cancer cells, large tumor. We're just going to use this one cancer cell right there. There we go. Oh, we're going to make this a bit bigger. Perfect. I think that looks great. So as we keep moving along, we are now going to add a receptor. So as you can see, a number of different receptors, as mentioned, these are all grouped with the purple. We're going to drag it over. We're going to pop that in there, like so. And we're going to change the color. We're going to ungroup it first and change the color to match our cancer cell here. I think that matches up. Maybe this one we could make like that. I think that's good. All right, so we're going to keep moving along. And add a CAR protein. So from here, we're going to pop that in like so. Really make it smaller there. And as mentioned before, all of our icons are vector-based. So you can make it as small or as large as you'd like within the app, and it won't lose any resolution, which is a pretty cool feature. So we're going to ungroup that again. And you could change the different parts, the different colors of the grouped icon, as you can see there. So maybe we want that. I just wanted to show you all just kind of how it works to change the colors separately. If you're trying to highlight kind of one part of a cell or something like that, you can always do that. Great. Alrighty. So from here, we're going to keep moving along. And there we go. Great. We're going to group this back up. Pop that in there. Great. So we're going to keep moving along. And from here, we are going to keep building on our figure. Are there any questions as of now?
Phil, we had a question about our color matching wand. If you want to show that maybe with inserting a text box or something, then you can show the wand there.
Alrighty. Oh, I see. Okay. So for the colors here, as you can see, yes, you can only choose the colors with the palette provided, as you can see there. So for here, with the different icons. Does that answer your question, Sam? Alrighty. We'll keep moving along. If that question does come up again, please let me know. But yeah, we'll keep moving along. I'll show you kind of how to insert an arrow here. So all you'd have to do, we want to pop it in an arrow. Maybe we like this one here. And maybe we want to show it off like that. And there we go. You can easily modify it, as you could see. So we're going to pop in a DNA strand right here, like so. Let's say we like this one maybe. So all you have to do, drag it over, pop that down there. And I think that looks pretty good. So from here, we're going to keep moving forward and just add the cytokine, maybe finish off this figure quite soon. And once again, all you have to do is drag it over, pop it in there. I like to rotate that a little bit. Or, maybe I don't like this cytokine. It's easy to just, all you have to do is click delete. Pop in a different one if you'd like a different one. Like so. I think that looks great. And from here, we're moving along. We're going to add another arrow in. So I love these arrows. So these arrows allow you to just kind of grow with the arrow. So it's pretty cool. And from there, we're going to go ahead and label the different icons here and the different parts of our figure. So we're going to add a text box here. And we're going to add another. And I know there was a question earlier about aligning. So all you'd have to do, you could align it up like that, or you can go here to align, and you can align it any way you'd like. So maybe like that. That doesn't make sense. So we could undo it. This is a good time to highlight the undo feature. You could align it like so. So there we go. It is aligned actually. And we also can change the font in here, which is definitely cool. All you have to do is go here. You could change the color as well. And yeah, so for the text, that you can always kind of show the color code here. But for the icons, it would be for the color palette. So if you did have a code to enter for the color, you could pop it in right there and it would generate. This one, we're just going to use one of our preset colors there. And we're going to center this one more like that. Change the color to maybe more of a green, just so it aligns. Alrighty. So maybe moving along, we'll add one more label down here just to show what's going on here. And as mentioned before, you can always change the font too. So were there any questions that I've missed? Anything I could kind of highlight? If anyone wants to see anything in particular, I'm happy to dive into it. All right, I'll just keep moving along with the demo then. So let's say we're working on a figure and we can't seem to find an icon we're looking for. It rarely happens, but it does happen sometimes. So we do have a feature for that. All you'd have to do is go to request a custom icon. So you go down here to request a custom icon, click on this little box, and describe the icon name. So let's just briefly go through this. Figure 1, key features, we'll just enter some random text just for the demo here. Obviously we wouldn't send that to our medical illustration team, but just for the demo, all you'd have to do is click next, moving forward. So you can add a viewpoint that you'd like to see. Maybe briefly let us know how you intend to use this icon, and also reference some images as well. I'm not going to keep moving forward because then eventually it's going to send it to our medical illustration team and they will get mad at me for sending them the text before. But yeah, this feature is available with a paid account. So it's not available with the free account, but it's definitely a useful feature for anyone who's on a paid account. Alrighty. So why don't we dive into the templates a little bit now that we've created a figure from scratch, and as mentioned before, it does automatically save. So as I was talking about earlier, the version history. So let's say we wanted to go back to a particular point in this figure. It does save for every single move we do, pretty much, as you can see. and you can make a copy of this version and it wouldn't delete your last version, which is definitely pretty cool in case maybe your computer crashes, as mentioned earlier, or anything like that, really. So yeah, let's get into the templates a little bit. So to start with a template, all you'd have to do is go to See All BioRender Templates. And it's very similar to our icon library. You could just either search for one or just browse the templates if you have some time. I know I do it all the time just to kind of see what we have available. So I know we have people from a bunch of different fields here today, and there's probably something for everybody here, but let's say today we're just looking for an NFKB signaling pathway. It would then generate these templates. I personally like this one, this second one here. So similar to there, we'd have to go, click on it, use template, and you're off to the races. You're creating your figure and you have a template to kind of build off. So from here, as you can see, it's taken us now to our canvas view. But with this one, we already have a pre-made template and we could always modify it. So if you want to change the colors of anything or change the text or even add certain stuff, you can always add that. I know that doesn't make sense at all, but you can always add anything from our icon library or any of our features to the template, which is pretty awesome. So as you can see here, this phospholipid bilayer over here, as you can see, kind of sticks out onto the gray. Not to worry, anything on the gray area actually doesn't get added to your figure. So all you have to do is click preview just to see what this looks like. And voila, there we go. So this is your figure. Maybe we want to change the color of this DNA strand just to show you. You can kind of modify anything here, which is pretty awesome. So before I move along, are there any questions? I see, do we have to cite BioRender when used for publishing our work? Yes, we do ask that you do cite BioRender. All you'd have to do is click Generate Citation right here. And it would generate this citation, copy it, and there you go. So from here, if we're finished up here, all we'd have to do is go to export or once again, share with. So let's say we want to share it with our team via email. Apologize for the delay there, it's a bit slow. Share it with email, or you could share it with your team. So that makes for a great collaboration process. Once you do send it to team members, they can work on it and it wouldn't affect your image. So you would keep your image and then they could work on it, add some stuff, send it back. So that's definitely pretty cool. So I see, can I maybe change the color of a small region of the DNA? So yes, if it's a grouped icon, you definitely could. So let's say DNA. Let's say we'd like to add this one in. You can ungroup it and change like so, as you can see. Change the color of it there. Oh, and I mentioned before, we do have a brushes feature which is actually really useful for DNA, I found. So all you'd have to do for our brush is same thing. Or actually, before we do that, I'm just going to go ahead and clear this just to show you how easy it is to add in the brushes feature. So we would just drag it over here. And with the brushes feature, you're able to really modify it. So you can grow it out like so. you can kind of add, you can kind of shape it with these little white nodes, as you could see, which is pretty awesome. We seem to get a lot of good feedback from this feature.
Hi, Phil. Quick question from the audience. They're actually wondering if you can highlight the 6 wall plate and see if we can change the colors of each wall as well. So when you have time, maybe you could highlight that.
Perfect. Yeah, happy to. So all we would have to do here for the well plate is click 6 well plate, and there we have it. So we have a number of different well plates here. This one is the one we are looking for. Francesca, did you mention highlighting the different parts of the?
Yes, so could you find the grouped icon for wall plates and
Yes.
see if we can edit that? So if you
For-
go under there, there should be one grouped, a few grouped ones actually, right there. Maybe that's an example.
Yeah, good idea. So all you have to do is drag that over there. And this is our grouped icon for our well plate. So all you'd have to do from here is click ungroup, as mentioned earlier, and you can kind of pick the different ones that you'd like to highlight.
And this one actually also has unlimited color options. If you click on fill color, you can go ahead and select basically any color of the rainbow right over here.
There we go.
Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah, so touching on the point from earlier, some of our icons are just with our color palette, but this one does have unlimited color options, which is definitely useful just because we know that some groups have their own colors that they use. Alrighty, Francesca, were there any other questions on?
Yes, we're getting quite a few questions on how to cite BioRender and whether or not we have to cite it for publications or dissertations. Can you just highlight quickly how to do that?
Of course, yeah. Yeah, so we just ask that you can generate this citation here and just include it like so, for example, in this journal article.
Awesome, thank you so much.
No problem. Yeah, so it seems we have 10 minutes left here. So we can definitely kind of start wrapping up and finishing up our figure. So maybe we want to go back to what we had earlier.
Phil, we also have a question here from the audience about adding crystal shapes. So I'm not sure if you want to just show a couple of the shapes that you can include.
Sure. So some crystal shapes in the PDB is something that I really like. So if anyone has sorry about that. As we move along, Francesca, did you have any crystal shapes that that you like that we cover?
Oh, she's looking for oligolith. So do you want to search that, Phil, and see if we have that? It's OLIGOLITH.
Great.
OLIG.
I don't believe we have that. Olgilith. Oh yeah, so we do not have that. So for crystal shapes, I don't believe we have crystal shapes right now, but we would be happy to kind of dive into them with you after the webinar and kind of learn more about what you're looking for. And yeah, thanks for the question. Great. Okay, so I know we're coming up on time here, so we're going to want to export this. I'm going to delete this one here.
Hi, Phil. I'm not sure if you covered it already, but could you just highlight how to request custom icons?
Yeah, Francesca, we did cover it about 10 minutes ago. Yeah, so all they have to do is click here on Request Custom Icon, enter a little bit of information, and it does get sent to our medical illustration team. Alrighty, perfect. So we're gonna go ahead and export this one. Perfect. So I have downloaded this onto my desktop, and I'm gonna share. Can you see my screen there? Do you see the blank slide?
Yep, we can see that, Phil.
Great. All you have to do is drag it in like so, and it's that easy to drag into one of your slides. Perfect. So there you go. It's in your slides, and there you have it. That's pretty much how BioRender works. So before we wrap up here, these are our academic plans. So we do have a free version for educational use. It's a really good tool just to kind of try out and see if it's useful. It's free forever, so you do have a storage limit of 5 images, but you're not able to publish with the free version. And then we have our individual plans, our lab plans, and then our institutional plans as well. Alrighty. Francesca or Jacqueline, are there any questions that that are outstanding that we can get to? All right.
Phil, we have a couple of questions here. I don't know if we're running out of time. We have a question about adding structural formulas of compounds that are made in other programs to BioRender.
Adding structural formulas. I'm sorry, which programs were they referring to?
Don't have that here.
No problem. If you'd like to email us with that question, we'd be happy to kind of dive into it with us. So my email is phil@biorender.com. That's PHIL@biorender.com. You can also reach out to our support team at support@biorender.com. Kind of for any other questions that you guys have. I'm also happy to help answer anything as well. Alrighty. Well, yeah, thanks for joining, everybody. We really appreciate everybody joining today. And if there's anything we could help with, please reach out. And we're looking forward to everybody here getting started with BioRender and creating scientific figures faster.